First of all,
on all the planets of all the galaxies in space,
I want to thank Melody Sheep for making this creative content.
looked into the night, seen what we see, asked the questions that we ask.
I have been a long-time admirer of his work and his music. He has been one of the foremost creative myth makers in this modern technological age. I respect his dedication to visualizing the myths of science in a most interesting and engaging way.
What we see around us is staggering complexity. How is it possible? Living organisms are created by chemistry. We are huge packages of chemicals. Now, what are the ideal conditions for chemistry? Well, first, you need energy. But not too much. What you want is just the right amount, and planets, it turns out, are just right because they're close to stars, but not too close. You also need a great diversity of chemical elements. And you need liquids such as water. Why? Well, in gases, atoms move past each other so fast that they can't hitch up. In solids, atoms are stuck together. They can't move. In liquids, they can cruise and cuddle and link up to form molecules.
Liquid water is just so good for getting evolution going. Molecules can dissolve in the water to form more complex chains.
Now, where do you find such Goldilocks conditions? Well, planets are great. And our early Earth was almost perfect. It was just the right distance from its star to contain huge oceans of liquid water. And deep beneath those oceans are cracks in the Earth's crust. Fantastic chemistry began to happen. Atoms combined in all sorts of exotic combinations.
Anoki Yehovah. So
On our planet,
I have
adapted to survive the most hostile conditions. Arid deserts, the frozen Himalayas, in trenches under thousands of tons of pressure in the ocean deeps.
tried not
The vacuum of a space simulator, life forms have been flourishing for years without oxygen.
to speak too much over the commentary that has been presented in this wonderful dramatic presentation. But now I'm going to turn the sound down
As soon as the Earth cooled off after its formation, we know that life began here.
and speak.
Because it happened quickly here on Earth, we think it's going to happen quickly on other planets as well.
Now the myth and the legend to which I give assent which I accept fully and totally which is my paradigm gives me a different perspective on all this creative content. In the first place, and I mean before everything else,
We know that the galaxy is awash in water.
more important than everything else,
It's awash in organic molecules.
a chief principle
All of the things that we know were necessary for life to begin on this planet exist in abundance throughout the galaxy.
is the conception
Did something similar to what happened on our own planet happen on those other planets?
of Elohim. Now I use the word conception in all its full meaning. The full meaning being not just an idea, but something that is sparked into life, into being, into existence. Both in the mind and in the body. And so here I say that Elohim conceived and then parturitioned the waters, and then the earth. Now, why do I say parturitioned? It's scarcely a verb. In fact, it's a technical term. Parturition is when the womb and the vagina open and a woman gives birth first to water and then to the earth, or the baby earth. Or let us look at some mammal. Parturition is when the vagina opens and the birth canal opens and the waters break. The sac bursts open and out floods water. And then what follows is the offspring, the child, the baby. And that's why I use the word parturitioned. Because the imagery of the myth and the legend that I accept is that Elohim gave birth by breaking forth the waters and then by bringing forth the earth into the waters. We can see that to use the word create is a poor mythological and description of what actually is happening or has happened. We cannot expect to understand what Elohim did on this universal and massive scale except if we have a metaphor or a simile which is within our grasp. And the metaphor and simile and allegory is that of giving birth, of conceiving, of parturition.
Bacteria on Mars or any other planet in the solar system would indicate that the whole chain of evolutions, cosmic, chemical, and biological, is at
Now we know that when a baby is born, its first need is to cry out for aid and help and food and warmth and comfort.
Within all of our lifetime, we're going to
Its first need is for a brooding and caring mother
we're going to understand the implications of that for evolution of life here on Earth. We're going to find planets around other stars that
and
we
so
say we see potential signs of habitability in their atmosphere.
the myth explains that the earth, when it was brought forth,
How exciting is that?
brought into being,
We're on the verge of things that people
was in commotion,
for millennia. Are we alone? And here we are on the verge.
and kept on coming. Kept on causing a tumult. Kept on trying to break out of its shell.
The universe is nearly 14 billion years old. And our galaxy is something like
The earth was not created complete or perfect
life out there,
or still,
radically more advanced than the life that we have here on this planet.
but in need of comfort, in need of someone to keep it warm, something to feed it. Now that thing was a darkness which was upon the surface of a huge heaving mass. A huge, dynamic, moving mass of material like water. That was tumultuous. And roaring like the waves of the sea. And that darkness is called the spirit of the Elohim, or the wind of the Elohim.
The only elements that were created in the Big Bang were hydrogen, helium,
And this wind, this spirit, this power, this energy
livable. Those elements weren't created in the Big Bang.
was brooding
The only place they were created is in the fiery core
above the surface of the waters.
is if the stars were kind enough to explode.
Now, barely or scarcely do we understand brooding. But it is this innate need of the mother that gave birth, that parturitioned the child, to comfort, to hold, to wrap, and to keep warm what it has given birth to. And this is what the spirit of the Elohim was doing. What happened next is something which is difficult to appreciate. But you can understand if you have brooded a hen which is sitting upon its clutch of eggs. You have to encourage that hen to allow light onto its egg. And so this is what happened. The Elohim said, there will be light. There must be light. And that is exactly what it said. There will be light, and there must be light. And then it says that the Elohim manifested the light because Elohim is good. And what happened when the light manifested? The darkness fled away. Suddenly the darkness moved away and the earth, shrouded in its shell of waters, was revealed. But then Elohim said to the light, called out to it, daylight, named it day, and then called out to the darkness which had fled away and said, come on up over here. Called to the darkness to come on up over the light. And when the darkness came on up over the light, that is when the light became mixed and evening came. And then after the evening came darkness. And did the darkness overpower the light? No. Because then that which was called to come forth, that which was called to arrive, which was light, broke through again as the dawn of the new day. The dawn of the new day was called forth by the Elohim. It was asked to arrive so as to remove the darkness and allow light to be. But then the light was asked to be covered over by the darkness so that night could come. This is the myth and the legend that I accept. And so the night became that brooding hen, that feeding mother that took care of the earth. That darkness which is the spirit of the Elohim, which provided food for the earth, which helped, first of all, to create a watery shell, which we call an atmosphere, a huge, expansive, watery shell which separated the waters in which the egg was born. And the waters which we call outer space was separated from the intense water vapor which we call the atmosphere by a thin gold leaf wavering, expanding expanse called the ionosphere. This is the rakia. This is the setup that the Elohim established in order to feed its baby, the earth, and bring it to full completion. To feed it, to take care of it, to be tender to it, to establish it, and to fill it with life. Thank you very much, Melody Sheep.